Welcome to Keep Traveling Your African Story, the only podcast that shares the real voices and journeys shaping African tourism. I'm your host, 𝐸𝐿𝐸, and through my inbound tour operation, Keep Traveling, I've had the privilege of connecting travelers from all around the world with the magic of Africa. This podcast is my way of opening that world up to you, a place to learn about the people, properties, and opportunities that make travel across this continent so very special. Today, I'm delighted to introduce 𝐸𝐞𝐭𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐬, who is MD at Mapesu Private Game Reserve in South Africa, who joins me to share his African story. 𝐸𝐿, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, 𝐸𝐿. It's a pleasure to be here.
𝐸𝐿, let's start off with whereabouts geographically is Mapesu Private Game Reserve?
So we are located in the very north of Limpopo, on the border with Botswana and Zimbabwe, opposite Mapungubwe National Park. Just across the road, we've got our own 12,500 hectare private game reserve. About 70 kilometers west of Messina, about 200 kilometers west of Kruger Gate in the northern Kruger, and about 520 kilometers from 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐿.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question is, what is the best way for people to actually get to you? And let's talk about from our international airport, 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐿, or drivers or cross-border visitors as well.
Yeah, so we get a number of different types of guests visiting us. Predominantly, people are landing at 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐿 and then making the drive up to Mapesu. It's about a 5 to 6 hour drive, depending on how quick you want to do it. And then from there, they're continuing either into northern Kruger, making a kind of loop back around, or they're going into Zimbabwe, Botswana, 𝐸𝐿𝐸, those kind of destinations. We do also have access through an airstrip. We have a private airstrip. People can also fly into Polokwane International, but we feel it's a 2-hour flight to get there. You're busy messing with your suitcase, then it's another 2-hour drive. Most people prefer to just drive.
Okay, but we do have a private airstrip in Mapesu as well, so we can charter a small plane and get there as well.
Yeah, there's 2 private airstrips within 20 kilometers of the reserve that we have access to.
Okay, and if you were to pick people up at those airstrips, the game viewing is going to start straight away from the time that they picked up until we get to the lodges?
Pretty much, yeah. The one is in the middle of Mapungubwe National Park. And I don't know how familiar you are with our area, but the fences are pretty much down. There are elephants everywhere. It's the wild north up here.
Well, that's fantastic. So now we arrive at the lodge, and I know there's a couple of accommodation options. So can you talk us through the different options that you have available?
Definitely. So we have 3 different lodges on Mapesu. Pani Bush Lodge is probably the best known of the 3. It's been around the longest. It consists of 19 rondavels in a traditional African Renaissance design. Yeah, some of them have private splash pools. There's an on-site restaurant. It's rated 4-star by the TGCSA. Bar, pool. There's a big water hole right in front of the lodge where we get frequent visitors, from elephants to lions to buffalo, you name it. Everything comes in there. Besides Mopani Bush Lodge, we also have Mapesu Wilderness Camp. So Mapesu Wilderness Camp is our wildest camp. It's a unfenced safari camp consisting of 10 luxury safari tents. So at night, you really do have the animals coming straight through camp. You can hear the lions, you can hear the hyenas. And there's a big communal area, swimming pool, bar, lounge. And we do all of the same activities that we do at Mopani Bush Lodge from Mapesu Wilderness Camp. All of the tents are also en suite. They also have air conditioning, extra lead beds, everything you could want is available. And then lastly, I've got 𝐸𝐿𝐸 Lodge. This is the smallest, most intimate of the 3 lodges. It only has 8 rooms, and it's much more of an old school, out of Africa vibe at this lodge. It's got a massive deck that overlooks the seasonal floodplain below, and you can just sit there for hours watching the sunset or watching the animals come into the water. It's a great location.
Fantastic. And the 3 different accommodation options, are they fairly close with one another, or do you feel detached as far as being too close to one another?
Oh, they're definitely quite spread out. So they're about 7 km from each other. Pani Bush Lodge and the Wilderness Camp have better access to Mapungubwe National Park and to the World Heritage Site, as well as the local rock art. Whereas 𝐸𝐿𝐸 Lodge is very far into the reserve. It's very wild. It's quite a drive in the property to get there, but it gives you that real feeling of being one with nature.
That sounds excellent. And can we detox from our social media platforms and things like that, or do you still have Wi-Fi connection at these properties?
We still have Wi-Fi. The actual cell phone signal is obviously a little bit spotty, but for those that need Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi is available.
Okay, awesome. Some people just can't do without it, Quentin. I was in the Kruger the other day and I stayed at a Rhino Safari's plains camp and they don't have any connection, and it was actually really quite pleasant actually not to be in contact with anybody.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Let's talk about the nature. What are the visitors going to be able to see as far as the wildlife opportunities are concerned?
We started Mapesu back in 2014. At that stage, it was pretty much a glorified cattle farm, and we reintroduced the entire Big Five onto the property, so guests have the opportunity to see the Big Five. In addition to that, we are also part of the cheetah metapopulation, so we have a breeding group of cheetah on the property, as well as wild dogs. So that makes us what they call Magnificent Seven nowadays. And one of the cool things that we do, besides we do the normal game drives, afternoon drives, night drives, as well as bushwalks, we also do endangered wildlife tracking. So a portion of our cheetahs, a portion of the wild dogs, and obviously all of the rhino for their own protection have collars on, which allows us to monitor them. And one of the things that we offer to guests is the ability to use the telemetry. We teach them exactly how it works, and we specifically go out to find those animals. First with the vehicle, and eventually we get out and then we approach on foot. So with animals like wild dogs and cheetahs, it's a really unique experience to see them in their natural habitat on foot.
Yeah, listen, I think the walking safari is far better than bouncing around in the back of a Land Rover.
I agree.
Landy vehicle of some kind. The benefit of that walking safari is that you've spoken about the Magnificent Seven. The last time I heard the Magnificent Seven, it was a Western film with Yul Brynner in, which was probably before your time.
Yeah.
But again, the beauty of the walking safari is that you're going to be able to also come across the Little Five,
Oh yeah.
as well as the flora and fauna. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Definitely. So we're mostly located, traditionally we'd call Mopani-veld. And a little bit of history. One of the first guys who was really into botany was a guy called Paul Evans. He was employed by Jan Smuts as the chief botanist for the Republic of South Africa at that time. And they fought very hard to start a place called the Dongola Botanical Reserve. And eventually it was proclamated. There was 9 farms that were bought by the state. And then within a year, when the politics in the country shifted, it was deproclaimed. It's the shortest lived national park ever in South African history. But the reasoning behind it was it's a great example of Mopani-veld. And eventually when Mapungubwe was rediscovered in 1932 and then later being inscribed into the UNESCO World Heritage Site list, attention was brought back to the area and allowed for Mapungubwe to be declared a national park as well. The bush itself is amazing. Lots of different vegetation types. Lots of specials regarding birds as well. We have one of the few records of palm thrush in our area. There's one other place in the Kruger Park where they're seen. There's a lot of interesting birds, and we're also close to the Limpopo, meaning that a lot of inter-African migrants use that river as their southern boundary when they're migrating within Africa. So yeah, massive bird list, great wildlife in general.
And now people have come and they've enjoyed the wildlife. Another big thing on their agenda is obviously the food and drink that they're going to enjoy. So can you tell us a little bit about the catering opportunities and the food that you provide?
Yeah, so we have a rotating menu basically. Every day there's something else on the menu at night. There's 3 different options for starter, 3 different options for main, including vegetarian, pescatarian, a chicken or a meat dish, as well as several options for dessert. And then for lunch, it's usually an a la carte menu, so people can choose whichever they prefer. And then breakfast buffet plus a warm breakfast. So at all 3 of the restaurants, we offer in catering facilities. But at Mopani Bush Lodge, 4 of the rooms are also self-catering. And at Luca Lodge, we do offer that facility as well.
So no one's going hungry.
No.
That's cool. And let me go on to ask you, why should international visitors that come to South Africa, why should they take time out of their schedule, book in their itinerary? Why should people come to Mapesu?
To be able to answer that question, I want to take a step back and just continue on the activities a little bit more, because we obviously offer a great wildlife experience. But the real reason people come to the area is because of the culture, the history, and the legends of the northern Limpopo. We are across from the ancient kingdom of Mapungubwe, one of only 10 UNESCO sites in South Africa. It was rediscovered in 1932, and 800 years ago, it was the site of the oldest kingdom in sub-Saharan Africa, predating Great Zimbabwe. When it was rediscovered, they found over 212 kilos of gold artifacts there, including the Golden Rhino, and they also found porcelain from China. So it proved that this kingdom, 800 years ago, was already trading up along the East African coast with the Middle East and China. It makes it incredibly significant culturally. There's a museum on site that we take guests to as well. We take them to the actual historical site of the kingdom. And then besides the kingdom, there's also a massive rock art shelter, which has the highest diversity of different animals painted in one rock art shelter in all of sub-Saharan Africa. These paintings are 2,000, 6,000 years old. So culturally speaking, it's an amazing area to visit. And the wildlife has almost always been the cherry on the cake. But now that the complete Big Five, Magnificent Seven are there, it gives you so much more than just a traditional safari. You get to do all of our wildlife activities, plus immerse yourself in the culture of South Africa and the history.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that about your part of the world. So yeah, definitely something for people to stick onto their bucket list. And as you say, not just the nature, but the historical aspect of all of it as well. Quinton, what are your hopes for the future of tourism, not just in your area, but Southern Africa as a whole? How do you see things progressing in the next 5, 10, 20 years?
It's a great question. Yesterday, I had a meeting with the Limpopo Tourism Association, and they were specifically talking about Vision 2030, Go Limpopo, and how we are planning to put Limpopo on the map for tourists. And I think one of the big things is most people go for the traditional Kruger, Garden route, Cape Town kind of route. And I think an extension further north into northern Limpopo, maybe Mapungubwe, maybe us, the northern part of the Kruger National Park, I think that can very well be an extension of that route. So I'm hoping that's going to happen. And then after G20, with the new visa systems that become available for primarily people from India and China, I think eventually those routes will come into play as well. The cultural connections, which I just spoke about with the Golden Rhino and the porcelain that was found at the Kingdom of Mapungubwe, it creates a great link that already actually exists between us and travelers that may be coming from Asia.
Very good point. And I hope and wish you and Limpopo Tourism all the very best, and I hope that I can carry on promoting you guys.
Thank you.
If a guest of yours could take away one particular feeling after having stayed with you, Quinton, what would you want that to be?
That's a difficult question because that's very personal for every person. But I feel ideally they leave with a sense of belonging, connectedness, feeling like this part of South Africa has crawled into their heart a little bit.
There's still the people that come from the first world that are still a little bit nervous about traveling to Africa as a whole, not just Southern Africa, not any particular country in Africa. If you had to put out a message there for anyone that is looking at traveling to Africa but still a little bit nervous, what would you say to them about that?
I think for people that haven't been to Africa and South Africa specifically, there's this fear of what they've seen on the news, the crime, the animal, the snakes, the spiders. And in reality, South Africa is a very warm, welcoming country with very friendly people. And the only way to really experience it is to actually come and visit. The spiders and the snakes, they're there, but they're not looking for you. They're not in your room. They're not hiding under your pillow. In general, people have a safe, fun experience in South Africa.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Now, where can people follow you online and follow your story?
So we have several videos out on YouTube. If you type in Mapesu, there's a great guy from Wild Journeys who has made 2 great videos about us. And then we also are on social media. We have a website, www.mapesu.com. And you can reach out to us either by email, phone.
And I'm going to put those links in the show notes of the podcast. So thanks for that, Quinton. And I know that you have been very generous in offering a prize to a lucky listener of the podcast. So would you tell us in your own words what you're going to be giving away?
So what we are making available to listeners of the podcast is a 2-night stay for 2 people at 𝐸𝐿𝐴 Lodge. This is going to give people a great chance to experience both the best of Mapesu and Mapungubwe National Park and see what we're all about.
Thank you very much for that. We're going to get that out there, and hopefully the entries will continue to flood in as they do with all the prizes that we give away. Quinton, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've appreciated your time and energy and wish you all the best, and look forward to experiencing Mapesu myself sometime.
Great. You're more than welcome. You have my number. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
What a knowledgeable conversation. Thank you, Quinton, for sharing your story and for everything you're doing to grow African tourism. Don't forget, every week we feature fantastic prize giveaways from some of Africa's most beautiful lodges, camps, and travel partners. You could win your own unforgettable getaway just by listening, subscribing, or visiting www.keeptraveling.africa/podcast. Or read more about today's guest by reading through the show notes of today's episode. Don't forget to follow Keep Traveling on social media for the latest episodes, stories, and travel inspiration. I'm 𝐸𝐿𝐸𝐸, and this has been Keep Traveling, your African story. Remember, a few years from now, you won't remember how much it cost you, but you'll always remember the memories you made. Keep traveling.